Hey everyone, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in to Relevant Jukebox, and today we're going to talk about the newest album from MoMA Ready, Gallery S. So this is the newest full-length album from New York-based producer, visual artist, and filmmaker Wyatt Stevens, aka MoMA Ready. And he's been making some noise recently coming out of a rising New York dance scene and fresh off of a handful of EP releases in 2019. And this new album over here is actually my first time being introduced to his music, and I gotta admit, I wasn't really quite sure what I was going to be getting myself into, but I am really glad that I checked out this album here because I think it's pretty awesome, and it's one of the more intense dance albums that I've heard in a little while. Across this entire album, he's blending elements of like deep house, IDM, rave, and techno music in a really engaging and cerebral way. Now, before you run away when I say rave music, I promise you this is not your typical rave record that has like a neon-soaked, accessible aesthetic to it. This album sounds more like it's coming out of some basement show in the city or some small warehouse in the woods. You know, like the type of dance show that you'd want to go to, one that was either spread through like word of mouth or maybe some friend of the artist put up a flyer on Instagram and said text for details. This record is pretty nocturnal, relentlessly pummeling, and actually psychedelic. The overall presentation of these tracks is pretty maximalist as well, with something always changing and being added as it progresses. There's new samples and sounds always spiraling through. The drum patterns will slowly progress and change at like the drop of a hat as well, and there's this almost like start and stop kind of cadence to a lot of these tracks. And one thing that MoMA does not shy away from is hitting you with some pummeling bass drum hits. They are always really loud and thumping in the mix on all of these tracks, and I gotta admit, it took me a little while actually to get used to it, but I did end up growing to really enjoy that aspect of this album. The opening cut on this record, 100 Skyward Fist, is a pretty amazing opening, I think, one of the more melodic and almost tame spots on the album. I am just in love with the groove on this track and all of those like muted synth melody leads that are layered underneath it. The intensity on this record picks up and really almost peaks on the third track of this album, Almost a Break track. I love the tongue-in-cheek title of this one because it is the furthest away from a break that you get from this album, or even one that you'd want to take, honestly. Overall, this track is super dense and complex sounding, and it's like sensory overload as it goes. There are these really awesome, like, vibrant synthesizers that layer underneath this cut that keep it going, and all of those, like, stretched out screams that are layered into this track really add to the intensity, and actually remind me a lot of that cut First 44 off of Aphex Twin's Collapse EP. Another interesting spot on this record comes towards the back half of it with the track Go Deep Restructure, which is actually a restructuring of Janet Jackson's Go Deep off of the Velvet Rope. I'm actually kind of torn on this track though. I almost like don't know what to do with this track when I'm listening to it. It's like you're following the groove that's really intense that MoMA sets, but also knowing the original track and that groove kind of becomes confusing at times, but it somehow works. I don't know, it's kind of strange actually. So I mean, overall, I actually really enjoyed this album, but I could actually see a lot of people probably not going too deep with this record, because, you know, dance music that's this speedy, glitchy, and intense is kind of best consumed in smaller doses usually, but MoMA actually really won me over on this record by keeping these tracks really engaging and interesting and sticking in sound palettes that I really enjoy. And over the course of these 12 tracks, everything sounds really cohesive and nothing really overstays its welcome. And I could see some people saying there might be a lack of variety maybe from track to track, which I would have enjoyed maybe some more vocal samples across it. But I mean, taking this thing for what it is as a dance record, I found this thing extremely enjoyable. And obviously it's like way too early in 2020 to call an album of the year contender, but I think this is my favorite one that's come out so far. Certainly my favorite of January. And with that being said, I'm feeling an 8.5 over here on Gallery S. Now, unfortunately, this record is not out on vinyl yet, but MoMA does run his own independent record label, so maybe we'll see one come down the line. I'll leave a link down below to his Bandcamp so you guys can check that out. And if you checked out this MoMA Ready record, what did you guys think about it? Let me know down in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching. If you guys like this video, I'd really appreciate it if you drop a like down below so more people can see it and share it. One like does go a long way. And if you want more content from me, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Peace.